go ahead and write factoring at the top of your page. We're going to spend several days factoring because we have to remember how to do it. So today we are only going to focus on finding the GCF. Greatest common factor, yeah, greatest common factor. GCF means greatest common factor. And I'm going to teach you guys something I didn't teach first semester because I learned how to do this a couple months ago, and it was like towards the end of first semester when I learned how to do this. So we are going to start with an example problem, but you're going to need your calculator. So we're going to clear our calculator memories just for whatever the other classes we're doing. So I'm going to do second plus 712, second plus 712. And the first problem that we're going to factor with the GCF is going to be 12k minus 18. And when you factor out the GCF, you're looking to divide out the number that is in common, the number that could divide evenly out of 12, but also divide evenly out of 18. And some people are really good at their multiplication facts, and they're really good at finding what divides out of two different numbers, and some people aren't, and that's fine. Your calculator can do it for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit the math button. The math button, it's under the green button. Hit the math button. You're going to go over to number, that's the second column, go over to number, and you're going to go all the way down to number 9. GCD means greatest common denominator, but we're going to use it for greatest common factor. And we're going to find the greatest common denominator or the greatest common factor between 12 and 18. Don't type in the negative. We're just going to do 12 and 18. So you're going to type in 12, and then there's a comma button above the 7. 12, comma 18. And the calculator will tell you what they have in common. 6. So 12 and 18, the greatest thing they have in common is 6. That means we can take a 6 out between them. And so now I can write my leftovers. So since I have 2 terms in the problem, I should have 2 terms in my parentheses. 12 divided by 6 is 2. And then I have a k here, minus 18 divided by 6, 3. Done. All right, let's try another one. With this one, we're going to do 30. I'm going to say m to the 4th. I'm going to make this one a little bit crazier, okay, because I'm going to have variables in here. 30 m to the 4th plus, I'm going to use 18 again, 18 m to the 2nd. Okay, so with the numbers, again, we're going to do the greatest common factor between the numbers. So I'm going to hit the math button. I'm going to go over to number. You have 2 ways to get down to number 9. You can hit the down arrow to scroll down to number 9, or when you're doing it, you can hit the math button, go over to number, and just click 9. Just tap the number 9, and it will automatically put that up on your screen. And then I'm going to type 30, comma 18. And again, these have a GCF of 6. So 6 is the number that I'm going to pull out. And then this time, if I look at the variables, m to the 4th and m squared, they also have a variable in common. And whenever you take out what's in common with the variables, you look at the smallest exponent. So between m to the 4th and m to the 2nd, m to the 2nd would be the smallest exponent. So my GCF would be 6m to the 2nd. And again, I'm going to write my leftovers in the parentheses. Since I had 2 terms here, I'm going to have 2 terms written inside my parentheses. So 30 divided by 6 is 5. And I had 4 m's. I already took out 2 of them, so how many do I have left over? 2. So 5m to the second plus 18 divided by 6 is 3. I had 2 m's. I took out 2 m's. Do I need any more? Yeah, I'm done because I had 2 and I took out 2. So I don't need any more. I'm done. Okay, let's try another one. All right, so for this one, I'm going to do 40 x to the 8th plus 64 x to the 5th. Okay, so what should I do? Math, yep. Oh, hit the math button. Hit the math button. Go over to number. Press 9, okay. 40, comma, 64. 8 is the number I'm taking out. And then for the variables, x to what exponent? X to the 5th. The smaller exponent is a 5, so I'm going to take out x to the 5th. Okay? So I'm going to have 2 terms. I have 2 terms in my problem, so I'm going to have 2 terms in my parentheses. 40 divided by 8 is 5. I have 8 x's. I took 5 out. I have 3 left over. Okay. 64 divided by 8 is 8. I had 5 x's. I took 5 out. None left over. Okay. Let's try. No. Let's try, we're going to do negative 16n plus 2. Okay? So here they try to throw you off a little bit by putting a negative in the front. Anytime you have a first term that is negative, you have to take a negative out. You have no option, you have to, because it's considered to be like not proper to have a negative in the front. It's kind of like if you wrote your name and you put a lowercase letter to start with, or you wrote a sentence and you started the sentence with a lowercase. It's like we all know what you mean, but it's not really proper. That's the same type of thing that you're dealing with in math, where it's like we know what you mean, but you're not really supposed to put a negative in the front. So whenever we see a negative, we're always going to take out a negative. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the numbers. We're going to hit the math button, go over, press 9, and we're going to see what's in common between a 16 and a 2. And you might already know what's in common. Yeah, 2 is in common. Okay, so we're going to take the 2 out. And then we have 2 terms. And negative 16 divided by negative 2 is positive 8. We didn't take out a letter this time, so we just have the n. And then for this one, positive 2 divided by negative 2 is negative 1. So you just have to be kind of careful with the ones that have the negatives in the front. So that was negative 1. Okay. Are you guys ready to try some that maybe have 2 variables? Can we do 2 different letters? Okay. So let's do this. We're going to do 28, a to the second, b to the fourth, plus 21, a to the third, b to the second. Okay. So how do we start the problem? So we're going to look at the numbers first, right? So I'm going to hit math, number 9, and typing in 28 and 21. They have a 7 in common. Okay, so I'm going to take out the 7. And then if I look at the A's what can I take out for the A's? A to the second. I had an A to the second and an A to the third, so I can take out an A to the second. A2, A3. Yeah. And then with the B's, what am I allowed to take out? B2. So I have a 4 over here, but a 2 over here. So I'm going to take out B2. Okay. And then I have a term here and a term here. So I know when I write my parentheses, I'm going to have 2 terms left over. Okay. So for my first term, I have 28 divided by 7, 4. I had 2 A's. I took 2 A's out. I have 2 A's. I took 2 A's out. Do I need any A's? No. I had 4 B's. I took 2 of them out. I need 2 B's. Okay, we good with that part? All right, now I've got 21 divided by 7 is 3. I have 3 A's. I took 2 of them out. I need A1. Now, when I have an A1, do I have to write the 1 or can I just write an A? Just write an A, yeah. When we have exponents, if there's only one of a variable, we typically don't put an exponent of 1. We typically just write it down. Okay, and then I have 2 B's, and I took out 2 B's. I don't have to write the B's down. Okay, so there's my final answer. How did your brains feel about that? Yeah? Okay, we should try another one of those? Yeah? Okay, so let's do... We're going to do 4... A to the third, B to the fourth, plus 18, A, B to the second. Nope, we did that last time. A, B to the third. Okay, this one I want you to try to do on your own. Anyone want to say what number they took out? 2. Okay. And how many A's? A1, okay. What about B's? B3, okay. Okay, anyone want to share what their first term was? 2A to the power of 2B. Anyone else agree? Yeah? We feel good about that? Okay. What about your second term? 9. Just 9. Nothing else? We good? Looks good to me. Do we need an explanation for any of it? No? 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 Okay, are we ready for 3 terms instead of 2 terms? Okay, let's try this one. So we're going to do 14 m to the 6th minus 35 m to the 3rd minus 7 m squared. Now, so 14 m to the 6th minus 35 m to the 3rd minus 7 m squared. Now, the tricky part about this is that your calculator, when you guys do the math and then the number 9 and find the GCF this way, it only works with 2 numbers. It cannot do 3 numbers. So the calculator can help you, but when you have 3 terms, it can't do the whole problem for you. So you have to use your brain a little bit more on this one. So what 2 numbers do you guys want to plug in? We could do 14 and 35. We could do 35 and 7. We could do 14 and 7.
Do the highest and the lowest.
The highest and the lowest? Okay. So we could do 35 and 7. So if we do 35 and 7, it says that 7 is the one that it should be. What were you saying? That's true. Nothing goes into 7 anyway, so 7 would probably be what our GCF is. Let's make sure that 7 goes into 14. So we could go back and we could plug this in and just make sure that with 35 and 14, 7 still works. So 7. So there's a little bit of strategy involved in there where you might have to try it a couple times, just make sure it's the same number. Okay. Now, when it says greatest common factor, what does the word greatest mean? Yeah, biggest common factor. So you always want to make sure that you're finding the biggest number that goes into everything. So keep that in mind too. If you're looking, you're like, oh, they're all even numbers, 2 works. 2 might work, but maybe the greatest common factor is actually 6. Maybe 6 is the bigger number that goes into everything. Okay, so we're going to use 7. And then what about the M's? M2, okay, so 2 is the biggest, or the smallest one, that's what we want to take out, okay? So 14 divided by 7 is 2. We had 6, we took out 2, so we have 4, okay? 35 divided by 7, 5. We had 3, we took out 2, we need 1, okay? 7 divided by 7 is 1. We had 2, we took out 2. Don't need any. Okay? All right. I think maybe you guys are ready to practice on a worksheet. Oh no? Oh no. Maybe? Okay. Well, how about I'll hand out the worksheet, and then if any are intimidating on the worksheet, we could do them. Does that sound good? Okay. So let me give you guys the worksheet. The front side has a punchline. The back side helps you learn. Hold on. The back side helps you learn about a person and history. Okay, so if we look at the front side, are there any problems on that punchline side that look intimidating? So the answer choices are all over here. The problems are all over here. Are there any problems that look intimidating? They all look doable? We feel okay about all these? We're good? We're good? 1 through 10, we're all fine? Well, do any of them look scary? Look at it right now. Which one looks scary? Okay, let's look at number 9. Okay, number 9. So if we look at number 9, which two numbers do you guys want to plug into the calculator to see what they have in common? 35 and 14. Okay, so I'm going to hit the math button, go over to number 9, plug in 35 and 14. They have 7 in common. Does 28 divide by 7? Yep, okay, so let's take out a 7. And then what about the x's? How many x's can we take out? 3. Okay, x to the 3 is the lowest exponent. Okay. So 28 divided by 7 is 4. We had 5 x's. We took out 3. So we got 2 left. Okay. 35 divided by 7 is 5. We had 4 x's. We took out 3. Got 1, okay. 14 divided by 7 is 2. We had 3 x's, we took out 3. We're done, okay. So what answer choice corresponds with number 9? F. Okay, so down here at the number 9, I'm going to put the letter F. Okay, so that wasn't so bad. What was another one that looks kind of scary? Number 3 looks kind of scary. Okay, so if I look at each of these, there's not a number that I can take out between these, right? Okay, is there a letter that's the same? The X is the same between the two of them. Okay, so I'm taking the X out. All right, for the first one, I have an XY. I took the X out. What's left over? The Y, okay. For the second one, I have a 7x. I took the x out. What's left over? 7. Okay. So number 3 corresponds to what answer choice? N, okay. So N, number 3 goes with N. Okay. Anything else that looks scary? Can you do 3 on the other side? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's look at, okay, this is a good one. If you look at number 3 on the back of the page, 7 and 9, I wonder what our calculator is going to say here. So we know that 7 is a prime number. We know that 9 is like 3 times 3, but we know they don't have anything in common. So let's see what our calculator says when we try to do one like this. 7 and 9. Oh, it tells you they just have 1 in common. That makes sense. So with 7 and 9, there's no number that you can take out. And then with the letters, this has a letter A, B. This has a letter C, D. There's no letters you can take out. So what does it mean if you have something that doesn't divide by anything else? Not no solution. But like if you think about like the number 7 doesn't divide by anything except for itself. What do you call the number 7? Starts with a P. Prime. You call number 7 prime. This is an example of something that's prime because you can't factor it. Yeah. Are there any other problems on this page that look scary? Nope, we're good? Okay. All right, you guys can go ahead and work on these.